There was a window, roughly 20 years, when rock music was still figuring out what it was capable of. When artists walked into studios with ideas no engineer had ever been asked to capture before. When a song could be 6 minutes long and still end up on the radio. That window closed. These are 12 of the songs that came through it. Number 12, The Rolling Stones, Gimme Shelter, 1969. The woman who sang the most devastating line in the song almost didn't make it into the studio. Mary Clayton was asleep at her home in Los Angeles when she received a call in the middle of the night. She was pregnant. She had her hair up in curlers. She came anyway. She had not been told what the song was called. She was handed a lyric sheet and led to a microphone. She sang the first take. The second was stronger. On the third, when she hit the line, "Rape, murder, it's just a shot away," she tore her voice with such force that Mick Jagger audibly gasped on the recording. That gasp is still in the final mix. Clayton suffered a miscarriage that same night. Her performance remains one of the most viscerally powerful moments in the history of recorded music. The song was the Rolling Stones' response to the chaos of 1969, Altamont, Vietnam, the Manson murders. Charlie Watts described it as the Stones at their most realistic. It was never released as a single. It has appeared in over 50 films. Martin Scorsese used it 3 separate times. He said in an interview, "Gimme Shelter is the sound of the world ending, and it still sounds like that today." A pregnant woman came to the studio at midnight in her curlers and gave a performance so intense she tore her own voice. That is on the record. You can hear Jagger react to it. Number 11, The Who, Won't Get Fooled Again, 1971. Pete Townshend built the entire rhythm track alone at home, then told the band to play along with it. Won't Get Fooled Again was built around a backing track Townshend had written and recorded entirely by himself using a Lowry organ fed through a synthesizer unit in his home studio in Twickenham. The pulsing machine rhythm underneath the song is not a drummer. It is a sequenced synthesizer loop recorded at home in 1971. Townshend told Keith Moon to follow the machine without the machine slowing down for him. Roger Daltrey recorded his vocal in a single take. The scream that opens the final section, voted the greatest rock vocal moment of all time by multiple music publications, was recorded live in the room. Daltrey wrapped the microphone cable around his hand and swung the microphone over his head. The momentum tightened his lungs. He screamed from the bottom of his diaphragm. One take. The song runs 11 minutes and 8 seconds on the album. It was edited to 3 minutes and 38 seconds for radio. Both versions became defining documents of rock history. The most recognizable scream in rock was one man with a microphone cord wrapped around his hand, creating centrifugal pressure in his chest and releasing it in a single uninterrupted moment.
If you just learned something you never knew before, there is a whole lot more where that came from. Hit subscribe to The Rock Lens. Every single week, we go deeper into the real stories, secrets, and hidden history behind the music you have loved your whole life. The button is right there. One click. We will see you in the next one.
Number 10, Bob Dylan, Like a Rolling Stone, 1965. His label told him 6 minutes was too long. He released it anyway. Dylan described the song's origin as coming out of him in a fit over several days. He typed 10 pages of what he called a piece of vomit, a bitter, disorienting stream of consciousness addressed to someone he never publicly identified. The first recording session on June 15, 1965, was a disaster. They tried it as a waltz, then a folk song, then a blues. Nothing worked. The next day, they brought in a Hammond B3 organ, played by session musician Al Kooper. Kooper had been hired as a guitarist. He slipped into the organ seat when the session started and followed the chord changes by reading them as they came. He had never played organ professionally in his life. Producer Tom Wilson told him to turn down. The tape was already rolling. Dylan listened to the playback. He said, "Turn the organ up. It is the most recognizable sound on the record." Columbia Records refused to release 6 minutes and 13 seconds as a single. Dylan refused to edit it.
You're gonna have to get used to it.
It was released in June 1965 in its full form. It hit number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Rolling Stone magazine named it the greatest song of all time in 2004.
But now you realize he's not
A man playing organ for the first time in his life, while being told to turn down, produced the defining sound of the greatest song ever recorded. Number 9. Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, 1971.
When she gets there, she knows.
The first time they played it live, the crowd was bored. Led Zeppelin debuted Stairway to Heaven at Ulster Hall in Belfast on March 5, 1971. It was the first time the song had ever been performed. John Paul Jones said the crowd was all bored to tears, waiting to hear something they knew.
If the stars are all closed.
Jimmy Page had developed the composition after he and Robert Plant retreated to a remote 18th century Welsh cottage called Bron Air R. No electricity, no running water, Page wrote. Plant listened by the fire and wrote the lyrics in real time. The recording was made at Headley Grange, a former Victorian poorhouse in Hampshire, using the Rolling Stones' mobile recording truck. Page recorded the guitar solo in 3 takes. He said he was warming up on the first 2. The third take is the one on the record. He has called it the best solo he ever played.
Oh, yeah.
Stairway to Heaven was never released as a single. It became the most requested song in the history of American FM radio. By the year 2000, it had received 3 million radio plays. The Library of Congress selected it for the National Recording Registry in 2023.
To the west, and my spirit is fine.
The first audience fell asleep. 3 million radio plays followed. Number 8. Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, 1975. The tape wore completely through. Freddie Mercury sang the opera section in so many overdubbed layers that the recording team held the tape up to the light and could see straight through it. The music had physically worn the magnetic coating thin. Mercury had arrived at the first session carrying scraps of paper from his father's office. He had sketched out the harmonic parts for every voice, working out the 3-part harmonies entirely in his head. Brian May described it. He'd worked out the harmonies, all of them, in his head. He played the piano like most people play the drums. Mercury, May, and drummer Roger Taylor sang their parts for 10 to 12 hours a day. The tape was bounced across 8 generations of 24-track analog recording, requiring nearly 200 tracks of overdubs in total. When the band wanted to release it as a single, executives said nearly 6 minutes would never play on radio. DJ Kenny Everett at Capital FM in London received a test pressing. He promised not to play it publicly. He played it 14 times in 2 days. The phones never stopped. Bohemian Rhapsody spent 9 weeks at number 1 in the UK. It is the third best-selling UK single of all time. The opera section, the one that wore the tape through, is the most recognizable 45 seconds in rock history. Number 7. Fleetwood Mac, The Chain, 1977. Nobody wrote it. Or more accurately, everyone wrote it. And nobody planned any of it. The Chain is the only Fleetwood Mac song credited equally to all 5 band members, because it was assembled from pieces that no individual had written as a complete song. The band was recording Rumors at the record plant in Sausalito in the middle of total personal collapse. Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks had broken up. John and Christine McVie had separated after 8 years of marriage. Mick Fleetwood's wife had left him. 4 of the 5 members were simultaneously going through the worst personal crises of their lives. They still came in every day. The Chain was assembled by the band's engineers late one night after the band had gone home. A discarded Christine McVie arrangement. A drum pattern Fleetwood had been developing alone. The descending 4-note bass line that became one of the most recognizable in rock history came from a separate jam session. The lyric, "If you don't love me now, you will never love me again," was Nicks and Buckingham singing directly at each other across the studio. Rumors spent 31 weeks at number 1 in America. Over 40 million copies sold. The Chain was the only track on the album featuring the full creative contribution of every single member. A song assembled from wreckage became the one that held them together. Number 6. Eagles, Hotel California, 1977. The housekeeper had to hold the phone up to the cassette player. Don Felder was sitting on the couch of a rented Malibu beach house in 1976 when the chord progression came to him. I was thinking to myself, this could be heaven. He recorded a demo on a Rhythm Ace drum machine and a 12-string acoustic Martin guitar in the back bedroom. He gave Don Henley and Glenn Frey a cassette containing 15 separate song ideas. Hotel California was one of them. This could be Felder said later, "Truthfully, at the time, it was just another song on the cassette. I didn't think it was the best one." Henley drove around Los Angeles for hours listening alone. He called the riff, "that one that sounds like Mexican reggae." Months later, when the band was in Miami recording the guitar solos, Felder realized he had left the original cassette back in Malibu. He called his housekeeper. She found the tape. She held the phone up to the cassette player so Felder could hear the melody through the receiver and relearn the parts note for note. The guitar solo on Hotel California, one of the most technically admired solos in rock history, was relearned over the phone by holding a receiver up to a home cassette machine. Felder also said he thought the song was too long. He told the band it would never get played on radio. Hotel California topped the Billboard Hot 100. It is certified 26 times platinum. Number 5. Pink Floyd, Money, 1973. The cash register at the beginning of the song is in 7/4 time. Every other instrument on the Dark Side of the Moon is in 4/4. Roger Waters deliberately chose a time signature that should not have worked for a song about greed and the way money distorts everything it touches. He built the sound loop himself. Actual cash register sounds, tearing paper, coins dropping, arranged into a rhythmic loop in 7/4. Engineer Alan Parsons, who who had been a young apprentice on the Beatles' Abbey Road sessions just years earlier, ran the sessions at Abbey Road. To capture the spoken voices on the album, Waters wrote questions on flashcards and gave them to anyone in proximity: musicians, roadies, the studio doorman. Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney were both interviewed. Their voices didn't make the cut. The doorman of Abbey Road Studios provided the album's final spoken line: "There is no dark side of the moon, really. Matter of fact, it's all dark." Session singer Claire Torrey was called in on a Sunday night in January 1973, with no lyric sheet and no melody, paid £30, told to express emotions. What she recorded became the great gig in the sky. She sued for a writing credit in 2004. The case settled. The Dark Side of the Moon spent 736 weeks on the Billboard 200. The cash register loop that shouldn't have worked. The doorman's final line. The session singer, who was paid £30 for one of the greatest vocal performances ever recorded. Number 4. The Beatles. A Day in the Life. 1967. John Lennon wanted an orchestra to start at its lowest note and climb to its highest note in exactly 41 bars. George Martin said that was not how orchestras worked. Lennon said, "I know, but that's what I want." Martin wrote it anyway. The orchestral build features 24 professional musicians who arrived at Abbey Road in formal evening wear and were handed party accessories: a gorilla paw, a red nose, a funny hat. They played entirely seriously. Paul McCartney's section in the middle of the song, "The Alarm Clock, the Bus, the Dream," was a completely separate song that neither he nor Lennon could figure out how to finish. They joined the two incomplete songs together. The final piano chord was struck simultaneously by Lennon, McCartney, Starr, and road manager Mal Evans on 3 different pianos on the same note at the same moment. The decay of that chord lasts over 40 seconds before the needle lifts. A crowd of people turned away. The BBC banned A Day in the Life for drug references. Rolling Stone voted it the greatest song of the 1960s. An orchestra in formal wear and red noses playing the sound of a symphony unraveling is still one of the greatest recordings ever captured on tape. Number 3. Jimi Hendrix. All Along the Watchtower, 1968. Bob Dylan heard Hendrix's version of his own song and said Hendrix had improved upon it. Dylan said in 1995, "It overwhelmed me. He had such talent. He could find things inside a song and vigorously develop them. Ever since he died, I've been doing it that way." Dylan has performed his own song in Hendrix's arrangement every single time he has played it live since 1974. The recording was made at Olympic Studios in London on November 21, 1967. Hendrix overdubbed it obsessively. The 12-string acoustic rhythm guitar, multiple lead parts, a slide guitar performed with a cigarette lighter because he didn't have a proper bottleneck. He sent the finished single to Dylan before it was commercially released. Dylan did not respond right away. When the record came out in May 1968, it hit number 20 on the US Billboard Hot 100. It was the highest charting single Hendrix released during his lifetime. Hendrix's version of the song is now so definitively associated with him that most people under 30 do not know Bob Dylan wrote it. The man who wrote it agrees. Number 2. The Doors. Riders on the Storm, 1971.
Into this house we're born.
Jim Morrison recorded this vocal 5 weeks before he died. Riders on the Storm was the final song recorded for L.A. Woman. The session took place in the Doors' own workshop on Santa Monica Boulevard. Morrison arrived in early 1971 in a state his bandmates described as fragile. He was overweight, drinking heavily, struggling. But in the studio, he was focused. The rain effect that opens the song came from a sound effects record Ray Manzarek had found. Morrison's vocal was recorded using a technique called vocal doubling, where he sang 2 passes simultaneously. The slight timing imperfections between the takes create a ghostly, disorienting layered effect. His voice sounds like it is already somewhere else. Riders on the Storm was the final track on the final Doors album Morrison would ever complete. He died in his Paris apartment on July 3, 1971. He was 27 years old. The song was released as a single in June 1971. It charted while he was already gone. Ray Manzarek said in every interview afterward, "Jim was always most present when it seemed like he was disappearing." Riders on the Storm is proof. He is completely gone in that song. And completely there. The rain, the doubling effect. 5 weeks from Paris when he sang it. Number 1. Led Zeppelin. Kashmir, 1975. Jimmy Page and John Bonham wrote the riff independently, then discovered they had arrived at the same thing. Robert Plant wrote the lyrics alone in the Moroccan desert, after the car he was driving crashed and left him temporarily incapacitated. Page and Bonham had converged on a 3-against-4 polyrhythm, where the guitar plays in 3/4 time against the drums in 4/4. Nothing resolves. Nothing lines up exactly. It creates a feeling of perpetual motion that never quite arrives. Plant was recovering from that car accident in Greece when he wrote the words. He flew to Morocco alone. He wrote about vastness, distance, the feeling of traveling towards something that keeps moving as you approach it. Kashmir was recorded at Headley Grange using the Rolling Stones mobile studio. John Paul Jones added a full orchestral arrangement. John Bonham's drum sound was so physically commanding that engineers placed a single microphone at the far end of the room just to capture the ambience. Led Zeppelin never performed Kashmir with full orchestration live. They could not reproduce the size of the arrangement on a stage. The song was voted the greatest Led Zeppelin recording in a 2006 Rolling Stone reader poll. Robert Plant said in 1975, "Kashmir is the song I am most proud of. It covers everything I love about the band." A riff written in a car, lyrics written in the desert after a crash, an arrangement that took an orchestra to realize, and a live version they could never quite play.